Well, hello, my brothers in iron, pumping iron. So on this recording, I decided to talk about high volume workout routine. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. So let's start talking about the high volume workout routine, and also along with that, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and share my Excel spreadsheet which I built to keep track of my workouts, the high volume workout routine, and tracking it in great detail. So before I start sharing my Excel worksheet that is helping me to track this, I want to kind of briefly talk about the high volume workout routine versus high intensity workout routine. Excuse me. Well, high volume workout routine is really old school. Time and again over the decades of bodybuilding, even before Mr. Olympia started. Mr. Olympia competition started in 1965. In high volume, before the days of Mr. Universe, Mr. America, those days, you're going back. We're talking about 65, 75, 85 years ago. These routines, these principles have been in place, and countless of great bodybuilders, strength athletes, muscle men, all these guys used high volume workout routine. And at some point, somehow, high intensity working out to failure, to the absolute failure, which was particularly popularized by Mike Manser. I don't want to be mistaken here. I have great respect to Mike Manser and his place, his status in the world of bodybuilding. But what he was standing for, what he was trying to push as high intensity, like one set per muscle group, absolute working out to the absolute failure, uh, doesn't have a whole lot of proponents. So high volume is, I mean, diabolically standing against. I'm sorry, did I say diabolically? Diametrically standing against high intensity workout principle. As the name says, high volume, the volume here refers to number of sets and number of reps, not necessarily the frequency of the workouts. So we're not going to talk about the full body routines, bro split, other splits, other routines. You can take for instance, the high volume and apply it, for each muscle group, one one day a week. You can split it into 2 weeks, 2 days a week, or even 3 days a week. That's entirely up to the person, and one is not necessarily is better than the other. The key here is at the end of the week, applying that high volume per muscle group. So now, after this little speech here, I want to bring up my Excel spreadsheet and share this with you. So I want to make sure that I can position this on this particular screen that is visible. Okay, it's going to be a little bit. Yeah, I think I can do this. Basically, I have the screenshot. The dimensions of it is a little less than the monitor itself, so I have to make sure that it's easily visible. All right, now let's start. Let's begin talking about this. So again, I just try to describe the high volume, and I want to show here before I even started this. I have a little note here. Training principles. This is a volume-based training as opposed to high intensity to the failure system with one or two muscle groups per day and based on 5 to 6 days a week workout routine. About ranges are recommended per muscle group per week, and this is the source. For those of you who are interested in that, you guys can go ahead and check this link yourself. So now, when I say about, these are the weekly rep ranges per muscle group. So those are, as you notice, there are 8 muscle, actually 9, including the abs. But let's exclude abs, and it's basically divided into 4 groups: chest, back, quadriceps, and hamstrings. Those top 4 are the large muscle groups, and as you notice, it is recommended to give them at least 60 reps per week, and it's within this range, 60 to 120 range. And the others are shoulders, biceps, triceps, and calves. These are uh, proportionally smaller muscle groups. I mean, in relation to the large muscle groups, they are smaller muscle groups, and they are given 30 to 60 reps per week range. Abs is also part of this. Excuse me. So now, one other thing I want to mention here is this: don't be just totally kind of hang on this, the number of reps. Yes, these reps are considered high volume per week per muscle group. And again, like I said, you can put, for instance, you can do the chest workout to be able to provide 120 reps per week. If you can do it one workout, fine. You may not be able to do it. You may apply another day. So some muscle groups, not necessarily all, but if you want all, you can split into 2 days a week routine to be able to provide the total reps required for this high volume training. And one other thing I was going to add here, when you do 120 reps, let's say, that alone is not enough. We're talking about bodybuilding or world strength training programs or some kind of combination. It's also possible. Without getting into too deep into the number of reps and sets and amount of rest in between sets and all that, the amount of weights that in typical bodybuilding program is any weight that is allowing you to do 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 reps in general, kind of rule of thumb. And for strength training is anywhere 4 to 6 reps. So when I say 4 to 6 reps or 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 reps, what is the meaning of this? I also want to briefly mention that. Let's say you're doing a strength workout, you're doing chest, say typically you're doing bench press. And when you're doing bench press, and let's say you're doing this for strength, you want to increase your power output on the bench. So let's say you're doing low reps, such as 3 to 5 reps. And when you're doing this, the amount of weight should be such that the last rep would be almost near impossible to do it. Like let's say if you're doing 4, the 5th rep should be near impossible. And how do you do that? You look at the 1 rep per muscle, 1 rep maximum. 1 rep maximum means whatever the amount you can do, you can use on bench press that allows you to lift only one time. That's called 1 rep maximum. And then you use 80, 85 to 90% of this. That is considered the strength range that allows you, like 3 to 6, anywhere 3 to 6. You would not be able to exceed that, and rest time between the sets would be typically longer, like 3 to 4 minutes. But if you're doing more like hypertrophy, which is bodybuilding principle, then you should be using a little lighter, let's say 75 to 80% of your 1 rep maximum, which is the weight that allows you to do 6 to 8 or maybe 10 reps of that exercise. So when you're looking at these number of reps, these are the principles also: amount of weight utilization. With those within these rep ranges should be utilized. So now keeping that all that mind in mind, so let's go ahead and look at them. Look at the typical exercises. I'm gonna basically, this is my current week right now. Today is August 8th, so I'm doing completing working on my current week. But I want to look at the last week that I completed. So right now I think you're seeing at this end right after the muscle group 2. You cannot see, so I have to move back and forth. So as you see here, uh, the very leftmost columns A, B, C, this area, that shows the dates and days of the week. And the mode column here in column A shows me whether I use gym, home, e-bike, mix, or other. Mix means, I might be doing some cardio and combine it with weight training. That's what I call mix. And other would be, let's say, if I'm doing some kind of a boxing exercise, which is not, totally different. So that's kind of other exercise. But typically, what I'm using is home and gym. In this case, I use gym on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. I use home Thursday, again gym Friday, Saturday, and home Sunday. So the entire week actually I didn't have a rest day, and I completed workouts. So when you look at this, excuse me, these are the exercise groups. So I basically divide them up, into two muscle groups, muscle group 1 and muscle group 2. The reason why I divided them up into two muscle groups is because in a typical day, workout day, I'm not hitting any more than two different muscle groups. So that's how I'm trying to organize my workouts. Typical exercise day, I at the most I exercise two different muscle groups. So as you see, biceps and midsection, shoulders and hamstrings, back and triceps, chest and calves, quadriceps and hamstrings, shoulders and hamstrings, and back and biceps. So as you see here is the column set, rep, and weight for muscle group 1. And it does the same, it shows the same thing. Muscle group 2, again, same thing, set, rep, and weight. And then a little bit right, I'm going here, it shows the totals. Again, total set, rep, and weight per muscle group. So now, for instance, let's take a look at I'm going to take Tuesday. What I did Tuesday was shoulders and hamstrings. And I'm going to go right hand side and looking at what exercises I particularly applied for that was the row number 4, right? Yeah. So that is the shoulders workout. These are my drop down buttons showing me all the available exercises that I can pick and choose. So for instance, if I'm working out at home, I classify it as home exercises. And these are all the home exercises, all the stuff, all the movements that I can do at home with my own equipment in my basement. And coming down, the next section starts, it says gym exercises. And there's as you see, there's a lot more exercises I added here because in the gym I can use a lot of different, it's a big commercial gym, so I can use a lot of different machines, equipment. It's a lot more conducive to use those. So basically I added a lot more, exercises, movements. So for instance, chest, Smith machine, hamstring, dips machine, and dumbbell flies, barbell incline bench, all those. So this is how I use my exercise selection. I use these drop downs and boxes. And I typically, for instance, on this one I chose, this is again row number 4. I chose Smith machine military press. This is one of my most favorite exercises for as a compound exercise to be able to use my shoulder muscles. And I used as weight 188 pounds. This is on the light hand side because actually I'm not adding the amount of weight the system has. It's about 15 to 20 pounds, but I'm just putting 188 pounds here instead of putting 200 plus pounds. So, and then, I did a number of 10 sets. I did total number of sets is 10. Total number of reps I did was 6. And now look at this here. The total weight is looking at, it's taking this weight, multiplying it with the number of sets, multiplying it with the number of reps, and it's giving me total weight that I lift during that exercise, this exercise, Smith machine military press, and it's 11,280 pounds. That was the only shoulder exercise I did, but there's an exercise, and right now looking at this, I'm in the blue group. Blue group is exercise group 1, and that's the only exercise I did in blue group as far as shoulder exercises go. And I'm going now the next group, exercise group 2, which is the green group. And for this one, I did leg curls. You remember it was saying hamstrings. For my hamstrings, I did leg curls. For this, I use on the leg curl machine, 140 pounds, total 8 sets I did, and 5 reps, and total amount of weights that I lift, I use for this exercise is 5,600 pounds. So basically, this basically wraps up the day. These two exercise muscle groups and those two exercises, And the total weights and number of sets I use for this day, for this exercise day, I did total of 18 sets and 100 reps, and total weights I use is 16,880 pounds. So as you see, for each of these days in this week, I did the same thing except the different exercises, and I use those, the drop-down boxes here, and pick and choose whatever the exercise I wanted to do for that muscle group that day. And for each one of them, I provided the weight, set, and rep, and it's calculating the total weight. And then looking at these numbers here, then Excel is coming here and putting the totals. And at the end of the day, when you look at the total sets and total reps and total weight, this week, the last week, I completed a total of 128 sets and 826 reps and total of 142,758 pounds, which is the same number that is shown in this area. The high volume training area highlighted in yellow. So I want to also go down and show you my end of week status. Because when I finish the week, before I start the next week, I want to see how I did. So I'm looking at two different things. One is I don't know, for some reason that thing was deleted here, so I'm going to put this back. There you go. Let's save it here again. I was fooling with that, I guess, inadvertently. I must have deleted that, the title section. So now look at this. My total, this shows the total weights I left by muscle group. So for instance, back total, 29,940 pounds. Biceps total, 5,880 pounds. It goes like this, and it adds up the total of 142,758 pounds as it shows right here. So these numbers should be in absolute 100% agreement, right? And the reason why I'm doing this here separately instead of looking at here is let's look at this. I have biceps here and biceps here. I have hamstrings here and here and here. I have back here and also back here. So basically, it's given this kind of breakdown depending on what I did in that particular day. But I want to see my total weight, set, and rep by muscle group. So to do this, I'll come down here and look at my situation, look at my status for that week. And one below is actually my total, again, the same thing, the same muscle groups, but this time the distribution shows not weights, not the total weights, but it shows the total number of reps. So my total again is 826, grand total, 826 reps, and going up here and look at this, it should be in agreement with this number, 826 reps total. But what it does here is, it does something else. As you see, there's colors here, green, yellow, and there's conditional formatting here. So this conditional formatting, and I want to show you this, the conditional formatting here, the logic, I'm going to go into manage rules. I have three different colors here, red, yellow, and green. So what do they mean? This is what it means. You remember I was showing you my ranges, weekly rep ranges per muscle group. These are the recommended ranges, right? So for instance, for chest, if my total number of reps is equal to the upper limit, which is 120 or exceeding that, then I consider that only then green. If it is between 60 and 120, which is the recommended range still, I consider that yellow. That means it is still okay because I can stay in this range. It is a recommended range. But I personally prefer to be on the top of that range, even exceed that range. So if it is within that range, then I call that yellow. If it is less than that range, then it's red. And if you notice that for large muscle groups, it is 60 to 120 again, and in small muscle groups are 30 to 60. So let's go down again, and let's look at those colors again. So back is a large muscle group, and it should be 60 to 120. 132 is exceeding 120, therefore it's green. Biceps is small muscle group. It should be between 30 and 60. It's right on 60, right on the upper limit. So it's still green. Same thing with the counts. Chest is yellow. Why? Because chest is a large muscle group. It should be between 60 to 120 reps, but it's 90 reps, so it's less than. It's still within the range. It's still acceptable range. I mean, acceptable number, but I would, like I said, I would prefer this to be on top of the upper limit, at least the upper limit. So my intent is to hit the upper limit at least, if not exceed it. So I have two muscle groups here. One is chest, and one is quadriceps. Quadriceps should be between 60 to 100. As you see, it's actually absolutely lowest limit of that recommended range. It is not red, but it's getting close. So coming down here, there's a little comment box here. See, it says end of the week commentary. I have chest and quadriceps muscles. What it says here is within less than the recommended rep range. So basically, I didn't hit my intended numbers for these two muscle groups. Even though, look at this, even though I did 826 total reps, I still have two muscle groups. On the other hand, for instance, look at this, shoulders. Shoulders is 136. Shoulders is a small muscle group, and it should be between 30 to 60 range. And I am exceeding the upper limit by twice, in fact, more than that, more than the factor of twice, too. So I should have paid more attention to that and reduce the number of reps for shoulder or number of sets and give more to quadriceps and chest. So basically, because of the fact that I'm using this kind of tracking system, I know exactly at the end of each week, and as far as the high volume training that I'm trying to apply for my muscles, I can track easily which muscle groups are kind of falling short as far as the recommended rep ranges, and which muscle groups are exceeding the upper limits, such as the shoulders, as I described. So this one is to me a great tool for me to see what I will be doing. For instance, this week I had to show this day as a rest day. It's planned day because it's my wife's actually birthday today. We're gonna go out, and then tomorrow she's starting a garage sale, and I'll be helping her with garage sale signs. So I had to take a day off to do that, because then after the work day, I have to spend the whole evening with these things, and also taking pictures, uploading them to Craigslist and stuff for the garage sale. So there's gonna be a lot of work. So that's my day off as far as workout. So for instance, I'm gonna actually today. Let's look at today. Today is actually Tuesday. That's why it's yellow. Any date which is yellow means the current day that I'm on. Automatically Excel does that. I made it so. And look at today's planned workout, back and biceps. So now I'll try to hit my biceps here. If not another workout, I can do that, and I'll definitely try to hit half of my back workout here. So by looking at this before each workout, I can say, okay, where am I lagging here in terms of number of reps and sets? Okay, maybe I'm lagging in hamstrings again, or maybe this time back. So I can adjust my workouts before I even go to gym. I can look at that and adjust them. So I want to show you also the functions of, as you see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons here. See, and each one of them has obviously some function. So what they do is when I create my next workout next week, let's say I'm gonna just do that for the demonstration purposes, and kind of to show you how I'm doing this, and it's really a very helpful, useful process. So right now this is completed, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this, move or copy, create a copy, and then go to end, move to end. So right now it's going to create, Excel is going to create a copy of this tab. So it's the exact same thing, except it's going to rename it. It's going to put number 2, indicating that it's a number 2 version of it. So let's say, this is my knee week, and I want to use the same exact format, the same exact structure, obviously, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel for the beginning of each week, right? I want to just keep going, based upon the format and template that I'm using. So the first thing I do is I don't want to go ahead and clear up all these things manually, because there's a lot of things here, especially if you go this way. There's a lot of numbers entered here during the week. there's a lot of action here. There's a lot of activity, and I don't want to manually recreate that. So what I do is first I click on the Reset Muscle Group Selections. When I do this, it cleans up this section. It clears up the day, the mode. The days are there, and the name selections, the Muscle Group 1 selections and Muscle Group 2 selections are gone. And now I'm going to reset Exercise Group 1 selections and Exercise Group 2 selections. So after this, the impact is, so now everything is zeroed out now, right? Everything is zero now. I'm ready to start a brand new week. So how did it do is it's actually going into, it's not eliminating the formulas here. Formulas are in place. They're not disappearing here. But what it does here is it goes into this section here, and whatever numbers I enter, it clears those. So basically, since there are no numbers now, it's cleared out. All the numbers per these formulas are going to be zero because there's nothing else at the beginning of the new week. So that's what I did, right? So that was this was reset exercise group number 2 selections. And then now look at this. After I did this, actually, all the formulas are gone too. I mean, normally the blue area, there are no formulas because this is my input area. Weight, set, and rep. This is my input. And there is a formula here to calculate the total weight. But those formulas are gone, right? So I don't want to put those formulas again. So what I do is restore formulas in group 1 and 2. So I click on that. And let's go and see what happened. All right, now see that the group 1, the muscle group 1, which is the blue group, all the formulas are back in place. All the formulas. And green group 2, muscle group 2, all the formulas. There's also red group. I'm going to touch base that a little later. So now, they're there now, right? Okay. At the end of the week, I'm not going to do anything with these now, the weights by muscle group and reps by muscle group. But once the week is over, what I do is when I click on weights by muscle group, when there was all the information here, there should be numbers there. Then Excel creates, using the VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, it just creates this section here. And notice that here there is some stuff going on here, right? Right here it shows number 1, 2, 3. Those are levels. The top level detail and lowest level detail. And for instance, top level is like this. 1. Okay, here's the top level, the total weight and total reps, right? In the middle level, and then the detail. So this is the subtotals, and which is basically incorporated into my code, Visual Basic for Applications code, which is basically controlled and triggered by these 2 buttons. And it does calculate those things. So basically I have to wait to finish the whole week when I start. At the end of the week, once I'm done, end of Sunday, the last workout I do Sunday, right? And then I create these 2 sections. And upon creation, I come down here and apply the conditional formatting like I was showing you here, simply by selecting, for instance, I can just show you that. Let's say I want to manage rules and delete. Apply. See, they basically came from here. So I want to get the formatting and apply it here. There you go. So now it shows I copied the format, which is in this case I'm copying the logic of the conditional formatting to the new range that I created end of that week after my last workout on Monday, and it shows me again whatever the areas that I'm kind of lagging behind, right? So I just excuse me. So I just did this tab on the copy tab just to kind of demo for the demo purposes to show you how I'm doing this. In fact, I want to add One more thing here. I want to show you something else. Um, for each of those buttons here, for instance, I'm going to look at the resource formulas in group 1 and 2. So I'll go to developer in design mode and go into view code. So what it does here, this is a Visual Basic for editor. I mean, not editor for editor. This is the Visual Basic for applications editor, this area. And here's the code. And this one, it says basically it's calling a macro. Macro's name is copy formulas test. So it is on my module 11. And going up here, making sure that's the name. Yep, copy formulas test. And it is basically what it's doing is here, it's looking at the structure that is on July 31st to August 6th tab, the one that I completed. That was my previous week. And unless I change the structure for some reason, it should be the same structure with this tab. So what it does here is Visual Basic is telling Excel to go ahead and look at that tab and copy the formulas from that tab, from each of those ranges, and ranges are defined as you see, and apply it on the destination range. So this is being the source range, and the new tab is the new range. So all I have to do is for each week I can run the same code, exact same code without changing it, because it'll be using the same tabs structure for each week's new tab. So let's close that. Or let's look at this one here. Assign macro. So it's attached to a macro, and I'm going to go into edit mode. And here is the macro that is running when I click on that, I show you it's showing up, all the, I'll put it down here. When I click on it, I told you it's going to, build this section here. It is done by this code. I'm running this code, this macro, and it's doing that. So I'm going to close this and go back to Excel. All right. So basically, I completed actually on this kind of a demo tab, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this after I'm done with this. And one more thing I was going to show you. There is at the end, after the blue group, exercise group 1 and exercise group 2. As you notice, in each exercise group, I have exercise D, E, and F, right? Those 3 columns. Each of those, because that means, for each muscle group, I can do up to 3 different exercises. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes I do 1, sometimes I do 3, sometimes 2. I mean, it depends. So up to 3. And again, I'm going to go back to this again. And go back to there you go. So these are the options that I have. All the exercises. But let's say, I just wanted to do some exercise which is not listed. Okay, then what do I do? Well, one thing is I can go ahead and modify the range that this drop-down box is pulling from, which is actually, go to unhide, go to data tab. Those drop-down boxes are pulling exercises from this tab, data tab. You remember there was home exercises and going all the way down gym exercises. Those options or selections that was all showing up to get displayed on the drop-down box are coming from this range on this column. I can change. I can add to one of these, right? Maybe I want to do some biceps that this is not on the list. Well, I can simply add it. But if I do that, I'm gonna go back to this. If I do that, I have to go into the properties of this drop-down box and change and then let me show you actually. Go into developer mode, design, and there you go. I'm going to go into properties. So when you go into properties, the drop-down box is using these properties and looking at the ranges. For instance, the length cell is AK6 and the list field range is, look at the range, data J1 through J112. So maybe I add something or one or two other exercises and it made it kind of enlarge the range to 114 maybe. Then okay, I have to come down here and accommodate for the change, for the modification of the range. Usually, unless it's absolutely necessary, I would avoid doing this. Instead of doing that, I'm going to close this up now. What I do is, I'm going to go back to home page. Okay. What I do is, I can also go into the red zone. See that red zone? Okay. So it says, to me, basically, in short, you know what this is this is my free form. That's why I call this free form exercises. I put a name here, resistance band and calisthenics, because sometimes I use resistance bands instead of weights, and I know what the weight they apply to, so I can still provide amount of weight I use. Calisthenics sometimes I use just for body weight, like for instance push-ups is calisthenics, or dips, or body weight pull-ups or body weight crunches. Those are all calisthenics actually. And any other free-form exercise. Maybe I just want to do that day boxing for cardio, so I can put it here. So in at the end of it here, right after that, I have cardio exercises. And typically, if I'm either doing my e-bike, maybe I have a stationary recumbent bike at home, I do that, or treadmill. And I can also provide that information, and then it shows, it populates the numbers here. And in the past, I did some. I haven't been doing this for a while, but I guess there you go. On this week, I was using some total e-bike distance, 13.6 miles, and I burned 346 calories. So I was because measuring and keeping track of those two. So let's go back here. I'm gonna hide this again. I don't need this. And just because I'm hiding, it's not disappearing on. It's hidden, but the Visual Basic is using the information, the data, to populate, again, each of these drop-down boxes. So now, lately I've been focusing on just bodybuilding weight training. So basically I haven't been doing any cardio. So this is how I'm managing, I'm tracking my progress on a weekly basis, and tracking that per muscle group, per exercise, amount of weight, set and rep. And at the end of the week, I also look at not only total rep situation, which is one of the most important aspects of the high volume training, because high volume, mean as the name suggests, is number of sets and reps applied to the muscle group. And also I'm tracking total number of weights and their distribution by the muscle group. So again, the old school, that's what I meant by old school. High volume, a lot of sets and reps, and the weights should be classified as I try to describe at the beginning of this recording. All right, so I guess that is pretty much capturing my tracking sheet, Excel tracking sheet. The way it is, I can go ahead and actually delete this, right? This was my demo purposes. So delete this and save this again here. There you go. So for tracking purposes, this is my tool. This Excel tool. Depending on my needs, I might improve and modify it, and change for any modifications, adding columns, adding rows, adding new information. Any kind of changes in its structure must be reflected also in the code, in the Visual Basic for Applications code that is being controlled and triggered by these buttons. So again, the main I want to repeat the main idea again on this one is this is again high volume training, and in this high volume training principles, it is again diametrically opposing to high intensity training, and it means it tries to give enough amount of volume for each muscle group to be able to push either hypertrophy, which is bodybuilding, the muscle mass development, or strength development. And the reason why I was showing, I want to remove this Excel and go back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. The reason I chose Arnold's image picture here is well, I mean, I'm a huge Arnold fan, by the way. I'm a huge Arnold fan. I have a lot of his pictures around my house, and large pictures, large images. But the thing is Arnold was a one of the most popular proponents of this system, the high volume. And in fact, his workout routines when he was working out was not almost, was entirely and totally insane. Not a lot of people were able to keep up with that amount of volume and amount of weight. And he was extremely smart in terms of applying the combinations of the weight, set, rep, and frequency, and also amount of rest in between sets. Uh, all those things that the principles that he basically developed for himself, inspired a lot of bodybuilders, new generation bodybuilders going forward after his time. So that's why I chose Arnold Schwarzenegger as the image says, high volume workout routine. He is a big proponent behind this workout routine. Okay, there you go, guys. This is what I meant to share with you, and show you my Excel tracking sheet. And I guess I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. And thank you for watching and listening. And please, if you're interested, put some comments on this video. Like, please, or subscribe. And I hope we can meet again in another video recording. Have a great week. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay strong, stay fit, and stay safe. Bye bye.